Good evening. I'm Crimson with Shine a Light in the Dark, and I am here with the amazing and wonderful Nathan James, and he has done us the great honor and great pleasure of being on here tonight to talk about not only mental health, but his music and just really being a light in the darkness for us tonight, as he has been for so many. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about kind of what you're currently working on?
Yeah, currently there's been a lot of songs that I've been working on in 2023 that will be released this year in 2024.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
Couple collab songs and then a bunch of new singles. So I think at a minimum, I plan on releasing 8 songs in 2024 as a minimum. There could be a little bit more. But we'll just kind of see how the year plays out with everything and whatnot. But yeah, working on a lot of new records. Trying to, you know, still keep things very like creative and unique and different and um pushing the boundaries, but also still trying to keep it in a place where if someone's not familiar with this style of music, they could also still like be like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this, So
Yeah.
trying to encompass everything into one is sometimes hard, but that's kind of the goal right now.
No, awesome. That's a big goal too for 8 new songs to come out. You
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
I like to always say that music itself is like a whole nother entity. It's
Mhm.
something that takes its own life form for us and can make us feel seen, heard, and understood, even if just for a moment. And the artist does a beautiful job at creating a world to where the listener can actually go in it with the artist and feel okay. What kind of world are you hoping to create within your music for your listeners?
Yeah, I would just say it's imagination. I'm a real big believer on kind of this saying I always tell myself, which is like know who you are, know what you stand for, and never let anyone bring you down. So
Yeah,
I guess if someone were to take away anything from my music, I'd want it to be inspiration to imagine that anything is possible, you know?
yeah. No, I was doing like even some research like on just like your story in general. And I love how it fell from just like being in college to, painting shoes and to like, that moment with Machine Gun Kelly where you're like, oh shit, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
and and just kind of like all those moments in your life that have become truly an inspiration. And I think that, like even like when I was watching it, I was like, oh damn, like hot damn, these are like his Phoenix moments, like his Phoenix rising that he's came up and he's turned all that pain that I've heard you kind of mention in the past in some of your interviews into something that was so beautiful that has allowed other people to overcome that and to be that light in the darkness. What has music really helped you with in terms of that?
Yeah, I would definitely say that before I started making music, I had a lot more I guess you'd say like rage and angst. And then being able to put that energy into songs and into performances has made me a much more calm person in my day-to-day life. So that's awesome because it's a place to release it vocally or release it with listening or singing along to, as well as being creative with like the videos and the short form content, the music videos and live shows, writing songs, performing songs, all that. So it's been very helpful in that way, for me. I noticed that when I started to do the music stuff, um, a lot of like the frustration or anger, seemed to like really just go away.
Well, yeah, because it finally was given a voice to something that was voiceless, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes that's why we hold in that anger is because something was suppressed within us for so long. And it's
Oh yeah.
like this needs to fucking get out of me. It can't stay in. And
Yeah.
so I have to ask, like from start to beginning, right? So I'm sitting down, I'm writing the songs, I'm performing. Where does catharsis happen for you?
Um, what exactly do you mean?
Where do you actually feel the release of the anger or of the experience where you're like, oh, now that I've written about this emotion or this experience and I've given it life and like this picture, because I know you even create your own videos.
Mhm.
where do you feel like it actually finally gets released at for you, where you're like, you know what, I'm done with this feeling and I can walk away now?
Yeah, it kind of just gets I guess the best way to describe it would be like a weight off my shoulders or just like a
Yeah.
brain fog that like disappears. Um, and I'm very, I don't know, I'm just the type of person who's very like prone to being irritated or not a whole lot of patience. So doing the songs helps me to be less irritated and to have more patience. But also this business is very irritating and requires a lot of patience, you know? So,
What do you think is one thing that you've learned like during this process that you wish you had have known sooner?
oh man, that's a good one. I gotta think on that. I would say, you know, actually a big one is just you can get such high expectations with any like goal-oriented thing that you're doing. So it's important to, do the best you can and then let the results be the results, is a big one. Just letting the cards fall where they fall. Because if not, you can get your expectations crushed, because like you want this, you want that, you're expecting this, you're expecting that. And if that doesn't happen, it can crush you. So going into every situation with expecting nothing and hoping for something is better than being like, it's gonna happen and da da da, and then it doesn't happen, it can just destroy you. So
Yeah.
just letting the
No.
results be the results is probably the biggest thing. And also just like enjoying the journey is a big part of it. Like so much of the music career is not even fucking the music. It's all the stuff behind the scenes. So just being able to try to be present in all the moments and all the processes through it is something to, you know, I would try to harp on that. I try to do better myself too, to really just be like, all right, I'm in the moment. This is what we're doing here. This is the focus for now, you know?
Yeah. No, and I love how you were talking about like the expectations because I think sometimes like when we're in the midst of the journey, we're so focused on the outcome that being present in the journey sometimes can be so hard
Oh
to
yeah.
just like want to stay there and stay present. What do
Hmm.
you, and listening to it and like listening to your music, I almost feel like I can hear a lot of some of your previous journey, right, in your music. And there's a lot of real, like, I mean, you make some of the realest points that I've ever heard from people, and you do it in a way that's very eloquent and, but yet very in your face. Like, this is just, it is what it is kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're very vulnerable with that. And it makes room and space for others to feel like it's okay for them to feel or have those emotions. What advice would you give to people, and how did you really stand on that authenticity and that vulnerability when that can be such a hard thing to express?
Yeah, even just as a little kid, something that I don't know where I was kind of learned, but I adapted the fact that like, people will love you and hate you for no matter who you are or what you portray. So you might as well
Yeah.
just be 100% your unapologetic self. Um, so that's kind of how I live my life, as well as like when it comes to music stuff too, is I think a lot of music these days, not with all artists, but some artists, it's censorship art. It's
Yeah.
the art is censored and it's not real. It's fantasy. And I think there's just people need to stop running away from the truth or what's scary, or I mean, it's just it is what it is. Like, another thing too is like I hate when parents who are new parents who are parenting like a younger kid try to hide all these things from their children instead of educate them of right and wrong. Instead, they try to hide. And I think that's the worst thing people can do. And I think that's what people are doing with a lot of art now too, is trying to hide, right and wrong instead of just accept these other way that things are. And not to censorship the art is important, you know?
Oh, no, I agree. I believe that's like one of the most important things. There's a famous quote that actually says that the job of an artist is like that of a lover, to awaken the parts of you that you never knew existed and to
Mhm.
teach you of who you are that you never knew. And it's almost like when you censorship that art, you actually censorship like the authentic expression or the alchemic process of them actually being able to have those phoenix moments and to transmute all that pain and overcome it.
Yeah,
And
and it's tough too, right? Because if right, and you know this very well, right? If something's too explicit,
yeah,
it's gonna be it's violating community guidelines, you know? So
yeah,
you have these social platforms and where that you have different platforms that are places for the artists to place their work, but these platforms are having so much censorship of what's okay and what's not okay, and choosing, what goes up and what goes down. So it's a fine line because it's like, if you want to play the game, you also have to, depending on what you're trying to do, right? You have to, follow the rules to a little bit, which is where like the censorship and the artwork can come from. Um, so I think the problem really starts with the people who are in control of like those platforms and allowing for people to have freedom of speech with what they want to, say or do or talk about. And, but again, there's pros and cons to that too, right? Like there's good things that can happen with, censorship, and there's also bad things. So um,
yeah,
it's a tough coin toss of how to find that perfect balance of not complete chaos and everyone just doing the wildest shit online and doing crazy things and also still allowing people to speak their mind, so it's definitely a balancing act.
yeah. No, no, I agree. And I think that that's one of the hardest parts is there's really like no one size fits all answer
Yeah.
because you always have extremes in every situation. And as humans, we're prone to extremes, right?
Yep. Hmm.
You know, something kind of funny. I always like, I pick on my daughter a little bit. She's 16, and because of the way I grew up, emotional expression wasn't always the easiest for me. I
Mm,
kind of kept everything in. And so growing up with my children, they kind of learned that, we learned that from our parents. And so one of her favorite things to do is she'll listen to a song and she'll be like, look, mom, that's how I feel.
mm,
I didn't express it. I can't express it. I don't have the words or I can't even articulate what I'm feeling. But this artist gets me. They can
mm,
express this for me. They fucking know what I'm going through, mom.
mm,
And she still gets to feel like this badass because she was not vulnerably or emotional with me. The artist did it for her.
mm.
And
Yeah.
I think
That's the
that
great thing
that's,
about music. It can find your moods.
yeah,
Hmm.
there's a joke that I like to say. It's that as a therapist, I'm bound by space and time, by one person per hour. But as an artist, you're not bound by space and time. Right now, even as we're having this conversation, you could be healing somebody and you don't even know who they are, but they are acutely aware of who you are
Mm.
and what you're saying to them and the way that you're affecting and impacting and healing their life.
Yeah, it's so true.
What were some artists that were like that for you? And what were some times maybe that that kind of art helped you get through?
Yeah, definitely the band Stained. Aaron Lewis, lead singer of
Oh,
the band Stained. I discovered them when I was in high school. I don't know, actually maybe middle school, but then might have like rediscovered them like for real
yeah.
in high school. And man, that was just their song Outside, and It's Been a
Oh,
While,
yes.
and Mud Shovel. Those three songs were, I don't know, they're just like staple moments of helping me feel like there's something for me to lean up against for support. Um,
Yeah.
so that's when I really first had like an emotional like savior with music. Um, yeah, that was big time. And then even like 50 Cent, some of his songs, God, what was one? Oh, Many Men. He had this song called has a
Oh,
song called
yeah.
Many Men. And it just that song made me feel like so confident, like I could just like destroy anybody. And so like that was like the song to listen to when I like needed like a, you know, fuck you attitude, or like a, we got this, you can't touch this type of attitude.
Yeah. No. By the way, Stained is amazing. I love Mud Shovel. It's one of my favorite songs by him. and seeing him live and like he's such a powerful voice even live, like the
Yeah,
energy that he
it's
gives
crazy.
back is like fucking awesome.
Yeah, his I gotta see him live once, and it was phenomenal.
Do you feel like as being a musician, does it ever take away some of the magic of music for you?
No, I feel like it's added actually.
Oh, cool.
Because being a musician, you kind of know what the other musicians can go through and all the stuff that they're dealing with. And I think it definitely helps me to have a better understanding of music and the musicianship and the, the whole back end and the business and everything about it. So I think it's beneficial for sure.
Well, yeah, y'all have so many fires to put out constantly. You kind of said it a little bit when you were like, there's a lot of like the music's only a small part of it 'cause there's so many
Mm.
other things going on in the background.
Yeah,
What are
I'm
kind
a
of some,
full-time fireman on the side. I'm putting out fires every day.
right? Constantly. What
Yeah.
does that look like kind of even like for your mental health? Like
Not
what is
good.
kind of okay.
Yeah, not good. Even just as of like recently, I've been like sleeping just terrible. I don't know, it's just the anxiety or just constantly busy mind. And then I'm fucking tired all day, and then I'm still stressing, and then I can't sleep again, and it's 5 in the morning, and then I'm up at 8, or it's just like it's just a whirlwind of a cycle where like there's no schedule, there's no structure. Um,
Yeah.
and sometimes it gets to me, but you know, I knew that being in this business is part of the territory. It's just now trying to, okay, what's the best way to manage the organized chaos, is what I always like to call it. It's just organized chaos. This whole industry is fucking organized chaos all day long. And it's just a matter of like how to compartmentalize and like time management, all the bullshit, you know? Because things constantly change. You can try to have the perfect schedule. Oh, everything's in a schedule, but someone's gonna cancel here, or this is not gonna happen there, or this isn't gonna get done when you thought it was gonna get done, and that affects everything else that you had planned. And so you're constantly having to learn how to like pivot on the go and be very adaptive.
Yeah. What would be like some advice that you would have for somebody just starting out, like to get
No,
that?
no, I'm just kidding. um, No, someone just starting out. I would just say have fun with it. It's important to have fun, try everything, and then, with anything in life, right? Try it, see if you like it, but before you, dive fully and submerge yourself in the water, make sure that you're all in. Because, you don't want to be dipping your toes in everything, for forever. It's like, okay, we tried this, we tried that, we tried that. And then once you find that thing of like, hey, this is what I'm really into of making happen. This is the pool I'm going to dive into. It's good to just, be all in my opinion. And it's okay that sometimes when you do go all in, you're like, hey, you know what? I want to be out, or I want to be halfway
Yeah.
in, halfway out. That can happen too sometimes. And that's okay. Um, but definitely having the priorities of like, making sure you're passionate about something, I think is very key, and that you're making those decisions based on passion and not fear. So many people make fear-based decisions instead of passion-based decisions. And I think
Right.
people will be much happier and get further with whatever it is they're trying to pursue when you start to move with making those decisions on passion, not fear.
Yeah. No, no, I agree. And I think that that was part of why I think my soul always felt so misunderstood for a long time is because I'm a very passion-based person and I've always like, but I think that that's why a lot of people's fires are burning out. It's right because they start basing these decisions off of more fear or what's more stable or financial, but not
Mhm.
realizing that it like almost kills the flame within them that's like really driving and seeing that beauty in life.
Yeah, you know what? It's like two things, right? I would be miserable if I was just working some safe, secure job, right? So that would be that. And I'm also have times in what I'm currently doing where I'm like, fuck, this is exhausting, I'm miserable, but I love it. It makes me
Yeah.
happy. It's my own thing. I control it. So the worst of the two evils, I'd rather be doing this stuff for myself than some company. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
kind of just having to outweigh what works. Everybody's different, and there's nothing wrong with, having um a 9 to 5 or whatever, a stable job, that's
Yeah,
a phenomenal thing. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. That's a great thing. Um, it's just a matter of, again, what do you want out of your life? Everyone has different things they're trying to make happen, you know? And sometimes having that 9 to 5 will help you be successful in that entrepreneurship thing that you're
that's
trying to also
true.
pursue. So there's no bad blood or, you know, and there's nothing to look down upon that at all. It's a great thing, because it allows you to have money and stability to pursue the thing you're actually trying to pursue. So it's a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. I completely agree.
Mhm.
I think that as long as like it's following like the person's soul and like where they're feeling called, because I believe that each one of us like have something different that drives us passionately wise, no
Oh
matter
yeah.
what that is.
Hmm.
Where did you and how did you notice that music began to be what was calling to your soul? Because I know that you've done several different art forms. Where did music really start honing in for you?
Yeah, when I was in college, I played basketball and I had 2 knee surgeries, ended my career. And then my mom had sent me a camera in the mail and I started getting into photography stuff. And, through photography, that kind of led down into like musicians and artists and stuff like that. And then I got a little bit into artist management too at one point where I was like managing some artists and it further, you know, took that deep dive into the artistry career of the back end of things. Then it wasn't until I did my photography gallery nightmares where I was like, hey, what if I made songs that went with each like photograph? And then that's how the kind of the musical journey started to come together. And I was like, hey, you know what? I want to make this like a for real thing. I want to take this as far as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah. When you started doing that, like even like so like the music video for Devil's Basement, right?
Yeah.
What was kind of the inspiration for each of the like levels?
Yeah, like Dante's Inferno, like the 7 layers
Was
of
it
hell
Dante's? Oh,
thing.
okay, I
Yeah,
love
kind of
that.
like that whole concept of different layers of hell. And then, there's nothing lower, right, than the devil, than hell. And so in hell, what would like hell's basement, the devil's basement be like? It'd be like the worst of the worst. So that was like the whole concept behind that music video is making something that feels like the lowest of the low, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like when you were creating that, like it was almost like a journey of like your own soul? Because there are so many vulnerable lyrics in there. How did that expression come through?
Yeah. You know, definitely what you just said, yes. And then there's some people in life who will screw you over. And in that song I wrote a lyric like towards that person without like saying that person's name. So yeah, just stuff just comes from just, life experience either of my own or other people's lives that I observe, but mainly from stuff that I've experienced or gone through or dealt with in some sort of like linear connection, you know?
Yeah. Um, I work with a lot of like at-risk youth that are, and we use a lot of expression arts.
Mhm.
Expressive arts is therapy, right? And music therapy and sound therapy. What would be one piece of advice that you had for them?
For who are at risk, the at risk
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, man, I'll say it again. Something that has saved me time after time is just know who you are, know what you stand for, and never let anyone bring you down. I mean, that's just it's simple to the point, but it's a realist thing. Like know who you are, know what you stand for, and never let anyone bring you down. Like that's just been like the staple of holding me together for a long time since I was a little elementary school kid. Yeah.
What would be the advice that you would have for them to start to begin to know who they were?
Man, that's just time. I would
Yeah.
say that to know who you are, you're gonna have to first know who you aren't. So you're gonna have
Yeah.
to let time go by, and you know, it's just going to be a lot of ups and downs to figure out what you are and what you stand for. But through that journey of life, you will slowly start to gather those pieces together and, put that puzzle together of, this is who I am as a person. And sometimes that puzzle might get, you know, torn this way or shifted that way, added this way, and then it gets put back together again, then ripped back down again. You're constantly evolving and growing. So, Um, I don't think we ever fully come to this final form of like, this is who I am. I think we're always evolving and growing, and things you might have believed in 5 years ago or even 5 months ago, you might not believe in them at all. You have a total different mindset. So just knowing that, life is just an evolving, puzzle. It's going to be put together like this for a while, then it's going to get torn apart and put together like that. And that is part of who you are as a person, all those different puzzles.
Yeah. No, one of the things as we get older, you were talking about like that change, I feel like one of the hardest parts about when we get older is deciphering all the lies that we were told about ourselves. Like you're not worthy, or you can't do
Mm,
this, or you're not going to be
yeah.
good enough, or you're too loud, or you're too quiet, or you're too this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
And it becomes this life challenge of deciphering the lies, because I believe that a lot of times the exact things that the world told us were the bad things about ourselves were the beautiful parts of ourselves
Yeah.
that were
No,
actually the parts we should share.
you're so right. And that's just due to right that mold that society has created, that you gotta fit into this mold. And if you don't, you're a disturbance. I mean, you
Yeah.
got broken people trying to teach people how to not be broken is the problem. And yeah, I mean, that's how it was like with me in school, right? Like I was a creative. I always wanted to be moving and doing things, but that was wrong. I needed to sit still, focus, read, answer the questions, write it down. You know what I mean? Like that was not how I learned or was my best self. Just like someone's not
Yeah.
their best self, doing, whatever. But yeah, I think like if you're someone who has influence on children, a teacher, a parent, a guardian, whatever it may be, the biggest thing is allowing that child to, be themselves and make their decisions with letting them know the options. Instead of telling them this is what you have to do, give them the options, right, wrong, what can happen, and then let them choose, and they'll learn through like, oh shit, you know what? That was not a good idea. I think I need to go over here. You can't safeguard everybody 24/7.
Yeah, we actually almost do them an injustice by saying, "Oh, you should always do this or you should always do that," because then they don't learn how to make that decision process for
Yeah,
themselves. And then they become older and they're like, "What the fuck? Dude, you
they
failed me.
don't.
I don't know how to make these decisions."
Yeah, because I mean, think of this, right? Right, majority of people who are adults, right, probably make decisions based on fear, and that's first learned when they're a little kid. Hey, shit, if I do this, mom's gonna be pissed. Oh shit, if I do this, I'm gonna get in trouble. Oh, if I do this, I'm gonna not have a snack, or like, it's just taught at such a young age. Don't do what master tells you not to do. And I think it's just the wrong way of looking at things. There's got to be a little bit more freedom with allowing people to kind of discover what it is, who they are, and whatnot.
Yeah. Growing up and, even through life and even having a support system is like one of the most important and crucial things. What was your support system like?
I would say I'm closest with my dad. I'm close to my mom too. We're just not best buds, but we have a good relationship. I have a sister that I don't really talk to with at all currently, and it's been that way for a while. But it's all love. It's just like we don't see eye to eye, and I get along best with my dad. Dad's like my best friend, my go-to. He's someone I call multiple times a day. We just talk. We're always talking about just stuff that's important, stuff that's not important, life stuff, just random stuff. Like, yeah, definitely my pops.
That's awesome. And so has he been really supportive, and has family been really supportive of you in your music career? I know your mom's the one that sent you your first camera.
Yeah, yeah. My
So
mom's more on the artsy side. She's just kind of like, whatever is whatever. So she's supportive. She likes it a lot. She doesn't fully always understand what's going on or why what is what, but she's just, as long as I'm happy, she's happy. My dad knows more of like the ins and outs and like, how it goes. I've kind of like taught him and like all the crazy stuff and just how things work and whatnot.
yeah. when you're like, so talking about like how things work and like, I know this, like, you do all of your videos, right?
Mhm.
And so like you've not only created this like lyrical song in your head, like, and you created the music, you've created the song, you created everything to it, and then you create this world. Like, how how cool is that to be able to blend multiple art forms together to actually create that
Yeah,
full picture of the world?
that's what got me super into music was when I was just doing photography, that was one art medium. And then when the
Yeah.
music came around, it's like, wow, you have the instrumental, you have the lyrics, you have the performance, you have the photos, you have the videos. I was like, man, there's so much more. I can deep dive into the creative of things. And that's what I really like enjoyed the most. I like to try to come from a place of writing songs of how would this look like in a movie or how would this look like in a music video. Like I like to come from that perspective of it and let the vision and imagination of what you're seeing be then written down.
Yeah. And I feel like that actually does such a justice to that creative process, because even what sometimes could not be understood fully in the words then is almost made up through the picture and in the environment and in the
Yeah.
world that's
Yeah, and some
brought
stuff
in.
makes more sense, some stuff is more metaphorical, some stuff is subjective,
Yeah.
less on the nose, more generic, could go both ways. Just everything is interpreted totally. I might think like, hey, I know everyone's gonna know what I mean when I say this, and then everyone doesn't know what I mean when I say that. They think of something
Yeah.
totally different. And that's the beauty of any art, right? Is like everyone will take in how it feels or relates or applies to their own lives.
Yeah. Which is beautiful, right? Like,
Mhm.
but it is subject to interpretation.
Oh yeah.
What would be the most interesting and the coolest experience you had with a fan interpreting your work, or even the message that they gave you?
Um, I always like it when any of my art or music or whatever inspires someone where they like come back to me and be like, hey man, um, you have literally made or helped me make this positive decision moving forward in my life. Or because of you, I am now doing, this thing that's, I'm just like, man, that's the best. You know what I mean? Because that's all I
Yeah.
want to do. I just want to influence people to be creative and imaginative and not afraid to take risks, be 100% like yourself, your own person. And that's my biggest thing. You know what I mean? Like, sure, I do it for my own reasons of it helps me and I just like to enjoy it. But bigger than that is I love the impact that it can leave on people to affect their life entirely in a positive way, hopefully. That's the biggest reward.
Yeah, no. And what was that influence for you?
Musically,
Hmm.
man, so many people, a lot of hip hop and a lot of rock, um, were the main influences. Like I said, growing up little or younger kid, I mean, I listened to a lot of like the Kinks because my dad always listened to them, the older band,
Hmm.
and then listened to a lot of Tupac.
Oh
I
yeah.
listened to a lot of 50 Cent, a lot of Stained. Um, I'm forgetting this other band that I don't even listen to anymore, but yeah, so it was a very like 50-50 mix of both hip hop and like rock or metal, I guess. Um, and so I think in my songs now I like to incorporate um kind of both sides of the coin there with that.
Yeah, no, which is cool because you appeal to both genres in that way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it could go either way.
When you when you're writing your lyrics, what does that process look like for you? Do you already kind of know what you're gonna write, or do you just let it come to you, or what does that look like?
I'm a big movie guy and or
Okay,
TV shows. So like a lot of times I'll get inspiration from like a movie or a
okay,
TV show. And I might find like a word or even if I'm walking down the street or reading something and there's like a word like tooth taker, right? I'm like, I want to build off that idea or
yeah,
um the hangman, right? Like I was like, oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? Oh, it's a tarot card. Okay, it's a 12th tarot card in the deck. What does it mean? Like all these different things. And I'm gonna build off that idea. So I usually kind of come up with like some words, descriptive words. And then with that word start to just say, okay, what does that word look like? And then what does that scene look like? And then try to put words to it with like my own feelings and what all is going on, you know? That's how
Yeah,
I
no.
try to do most of the stuff anyways, you know?
Yeah, no, sorry. My mind totally like you were just talking about getting hung on words and then you said the hanged man and I was like, oh, that just means that you're at a standstill for a moment and you're just like waiting like sorry, my brain just totally went on a tarot loop right as you said that.
No, you're good.
I was like, this is what that card means. Sorry. Um, but no, so like you end up kind of hanging on that and creating that. And so when you come to that creative process and you draw on that inspiration from whatever it was, do you kind of do a visual of it first? Like, so you make it a movie first in your head, and then we kind of make the rest of it kind of go
Yeah,
together. Is that?
or sometimes even I'm watching a movie and then, you know, I'm describing into words what I'm seeing in the movie. You know,
Yeah,
so maybe it's like, you know, ropes or dirt or, you know, any scene, it's a cornfield, it's anything like that. You know, then I start to just write words to what I'm seeing and then I'll save it for later and maybe it'll spark an idea or that word will spark a different word idea. It's all connected, you know.
yeah. And do you do most of your writing process alone?
No. I like to my well, some songs I have done completely on my own, no one in the room type thing. But I usually like to have someone in the room to like co-write with, bounce ideas off of, makes the writing process much more fun and just write better shit, honestly. You know, when there's
Yeah,
two people that can be like, hey man, that's actually trash. You know, we should you shouldn't say that, or hey, that's a good idea, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like having people in the room, even if it's just one other person, can really help to pry and dig at things that maybe you know were kind of not consciously aware of. Hey, yeah, that's a good idea, you know. So I would advise anyone who's writing songs, I think it's a good idea to sometimes start to write something yourself, but then before you finalize and get that final draft, it's always good. It's just like turning a paper in school, right? It's good to have someone to read over it, look over it, you know? Same thing with
yeah.
writing process. It's a good thing to have like other people there or someone else there to be like, you know, I think it could be better here, better there, or let's change this, you know? So I think it's an important thing to have a collaborative effort in that.
No, I love that, and I love that process of like working together and like and number one, bringing back in that community of music. 'Cause I believe that one of the beautiful things about music is it brings people closer together and helps us
Yeah,
understand each other.
that is fun about it. I do love that about it. There's a lot of like friendships that have been built through the musical stuff, and it's you know, it's fun to be able to ex express feelings or emotions or sceneries through like, you know, writing and music. So,
Yeah, if there was anybody in the world that you could work with, who would you want to write a song with?
um, probably as of now, uh, a couple people I like Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse or like Jonathan
Oh yeah.
Davis from Korn. Or Aaron Lewis from Stain. Probably Aaron Lewis from Stain would be my number one just because of like I said, like growing up, just being so inspired by him. I'd be freaking out if that happened. That'd be crazy.
Speaking of growing up and inspiration, like what would you say to your inner child? Because I feel like you're fucking like, did your inner child ever think that you would get here?
No, not at all. I was so into sports. It was really driven in of like, hey, you know, you gotta get a scholarship to go to college because you need to go to college to get a degree, da 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 da. So it was always like, you know, I was always doing art or sports because my mom, like I said, was an art teacher. So I was always, you know, I was painting, building, sculpting, whatever. But still, sports always took the front seat because you know I had that pressure on of I gotta get a full ride scholarship, you know. And then luckily, now hindsight 2020, when I did have those knee surgeries, it helped me to kind of be able. It helped me to. It allowed myself to just be and discover what I really like and who I really am, and not feel forced as much to do something. Because so much of when I was playing basketball, it's like, man, I don't even want to be doing this. It's just like I'm good at it, and I guess just this is direction things are going. Like I kind of almost need to rely on it now. I guess I'll just keep playing. So I'm glad I got
Yeah.
her, because if I wouldn't have got her, I probably would still be playing somewhere overseas and just not enjoying it. So it's good.
N- So I have to ask you though, because you have done so many different artistic forms. Number one, did you ever really love playing basketball? And then number two, out of all of those artistic forms, which one actually makes you feel the most free?
Mm. Yeah, I definitely loved playing basketball for a long time. I mean, shit, I still like to go just fuck around and shoot sometimes. But being a collegiate athlete, and as serious as I was taking it when I was in elementary, middle school, and high school and college, was not fun, because it doesn't become a hobby or like a fun thing to do. It just becomes a job. I just
Yeah.
wasn't having fun with it. And then, sorry, what was the next question after that? You said talked about the.
Oh, sorry. My brain, I remembered until you asked me. And then my brain just, but no, it was, out of all the art forms that you do, which one do you
Oh yeah, which was
feel the most freeing?
um both music and photography, but sometimes photography a little more, because um I think the pressure's not as much on me. It's on the model a little bit, right? Like the spotlight's not on me, it's on them. And it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to. I like creating spotlight for someone, and it's nice when they're excited. It gets me excited of like, oh man, this looks so good and this looks awesome. Like that gets me excited that they like my work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have to ask you, at its core, what does art mean to you?
Um, Man, at its core,
Yeah.
you stumped me. I'll just say, based on my experience of things, it's just being able to not give a fuck, and you just go. You just go. Pen down, paintbrush down, whatever it is, just boom, just creating. Mindless creation, almost. You know what I mean? And then that mindless creation turns into mindful creation. But it kind of starts as like, fuck it, let's go. It just kind of streamlines into something, and that something then becomes more like mindful creation.
Yeah. And through all that, what was the most beautiful part of the process for you?
Um, just making other people happy. It's happy to feels good when like you do something that you spent time and hours on and other people enjoy it. I think that's the biggest reward for any artist, is when other people also enjoy it. You're like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Makes you enjoy your stuff more.
Yeah. And I've got to say that I really enjoy your art, but I really honestly enjoy you too. I always consider myself I'm a follower of artists, but I'm a follower of souls.
Mm.
And you have such a pure soul that I think though that at its core just really wants to help everybody. And I think that that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think sometimes I feel that in order to help benefit people the most, I need to be in a situation that allows for me to do that. Like, how can I provide if I have nothing to provide? So I think I like trying to have my shit together, and because I like having value that not only adds to my life, but value that can add to other people's lives and help them too. That makes me feel good that, like, everybody can be winning. You know, I don't want just me to win and then no one else can get any kind of, spark going for themselves either. I like it when like my flame helps their flame, and,
And I
and
think that's
vice
what makes
versa.
your
Their flame helps my flame. Like I think the camaraderie there is important.
well, yeah, I think that's what makes your story so inspirational. It's just how many almost setbacks you had, but how many times you came back swinging. And each time I feel like you fucking swung harder.
Oh yeah, I'm a
You're
swinger.
like, I can't do it, bet. I can't do
Yeah.
it, bet.
Yeah.
each time.
Yeah, definitely. It gets exhausting each time too, but yeah, you keep trying to just, you know, keep the fist up, you know,
How
keep
does that
swinging away,
self-care
keep
go for
chiseling
you?
away. Hmm?
How does self-care go for you? Because it's hard to be somebody who is a light for others.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I need to try to give myself more time to myself because I'm always just either on working on something or dealing with something. Um, so the self-care for me is just like I said, just laying in my bed and watching movies. I love movies and walks. I'm a big walker. I just like to just go on a walk for hours or go sit somewhere, be by myself, and just movies. Yeah, I love movies.
What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite scary movie, Sydney?
Um, I don't know, man. I have so many that I like, but I think favorite well, I guess give you my genre of movies. I really like the thrillers. I like when like someone
Oh,
goes like
thrillers.
missing or being chased and they gotta like come back, like the kind of the hero story. I like
Oh,
that a lot.
yes.
And I like the scary movies too, but I like the more like thriller scary movies, you know?
Like psychological thrillers, like we have to figure out who did it kind of
No,
thing,
I
and
don't
we're
like the
like,
psychological. I like the action, it feels like it's like real life, I like
yeah,
the like it could actually happen, you know.
so which
Like
ones?
the Michael
So
Myers are cool and stuff, but no one's gonna be able to, get their head cut off and put it back on and keep killing people, you know. So it's like
that's
I like those
fair.
movies, because there's kind of like they make it seem real, like it feels real. But yeah, I like more the movies that are like this could happen in real life, you know.
So what would be your favorite one in that genre?
Um, Probably this one called Strangers. There's like two or three different makes, and like I guess these like random killers go
That's all with a
around.
car. Like they're driving around like, in the
Yeah,
car.
they're
The
driving around.
masks.
Yep, with the mask, and they go and knock on people's doors, sneak into the family's houses. Then like, yeah, I like those ones.
Yes. Yeah, that one's good, but that one is horrifying because, like you said, that one really could. I live way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that could definitely happen too. Not good.
So why so watching movies like that when I live way out in the middle of nowhere, I'm like
Yeah,
maybe you're not the best because I could like Michael Myers, like you said, that's not gonna happen to me. I could watch him all day. Although
yeah,
Freddy did scare me because Freddy like could fuck with my dreams and that was a little scary.
hmm
Like what if he really did mess with my dreams, right?
yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
no.
how do you feel like if those artistic forms like influence your style as a musician?
Um, I think I just like stuff that feels angsty or stuff that feels sexy or badass or yeah, I think those are the main things. It's just like badass, punch your teeth out, or something that's also like super like sexy and vulnerable, or just like hell yeah, this just feels like a vibe. That's kind of the two
Yeah.
components. Sometimes they're separate, sometimes they're together.
But even in both different ways, right? They're still very empowering
Yeah,
features,
yeah.
right?
So
Feeling
yeah, so I
sexy
guess
is empowering
yeah,
or
the overall feeling is like, yeah, I want the music then, yeah, you're right, is to just to feel like big in your face, like type energy.
yeah. And no, I do want to make sure that I honor your time because it was very gracious of you to come on here tonight. And
Yeah,
I'm
thank
very
you for
appreciative
having
of
me.
that.
I enjoyed our conversation, so thank you.
No, I did too. So my last question for you is I believe that you can tell a lot about a person and what they're currently going through by their current repeat song. What is your current repeat song?
How do I see that? Is there a way on Spotify to see that? Like my
You know?
most repeated song ever. Um, okay, current repeat song. Man, I have been. What have I been listening to a lot? Okay, this is one I was reading. So there's a song with Skrillex. It's called Supersonic, and
Okay.
um, Yeah, man, I've listened to that song a ton. I'll go to the gym and literally that'll be the only song like on repeat. Something about that song just feels like you know, I crashed, but then I rose back up. So that's why I like that
Yeah,
song. It takes you down of like, man, like you reached the bottom of the barrel, but you rose back up. You made it through all odds. But yeah, I
yeah.
love that song.
No, I
Like,
love
it's a
that. And I
song
love
that
that,
maybe not the lyrics. It's just more like how the song feels
like
when
that
listening to
vibe.
it. Yeah, it just feels like my life kind of right now, I guess.
Yeah. And like you said, that is kind of like you're definitely like in that Phoenix part to where you're taking all of your past and making, they say that ash is the most fertile ground, but you have
Mm,
to burn it all to the ground for it to be able to
mm.
rise.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a crazy concept. So ash is the most fertile ground thing, but then you have to burn ash. You have to burn something to even get ash to have it regrow. That's
Exactly.
crazy. I didn't know that. That's wild.
But once it grows stronger than ever than
That's literally
ash.
how you just said that's literally how I feel about my life is like, yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. That helps me understand myself better, that analogy. That was cool.
Oh yeah, no, it was one of the things that helped me understand myself when I was healing was I was realizing that I had to burn everything else to the ground, like including all because everything was built on for me a lot of lies that had told about
Mhm.
myself, which made me like constantly work too hard or constantly not feel worthy of something or where I was going. And it was to remember that once I burnt, was knowing that the biggest part of that Phoenix moment is when you burn it all to the ground, you just created the most fertile era of your life that you could ever
Mm.
have.
Hmm. That's so true. Well, hell yeah, thank you.
Yes, no, is there anything you want? And guys, in case y'all have been living under a rock, I will leave all of Nathan James, links below. Please check him out. Send him lots of love. And is there anything you want fans to know before you go?
Oh man, just anyone ever wants to reach out to me, I'll do my best to try to get back to you guys. But I love talking to people, just what's going on in their life, and if there's anything that I can help with, I always try to give my best opinions or input on stuff. So don't be a stranger.
Yes, and thank you again so much, Nathan, for being a light in the dark and just paving the way for others to stand in their authenticity and their vulnerability too.
Yeah, thank you. And then yeah, please be in contact. If there's any other like stuff in the future, we'll stay in touch.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong button. Sorry, I always get lost on the record off button on Zoom. I'm sorry.
No worries, you're good. Cool.